All right, let's get started. Do you see that? Lack of millennial pause.
Straight in.
Probably we missed the hello. How do you know when to start talking? I don't really know. Okay. We are live on Twitch. Perfect. Okay. We have 20 seconds into the session. Okay. So, what everyone think of? Wait, we don't have a.
There's one.
The screen's off. God damn it! We almost had a flawless launch. Oh yeah, you haven't.
I hope this doesn't destroy the stream.
Hope it will.
Hopefully, Mirror just. Let's see if Apple works. This is gonna be the ultimate test. Your Linux would.
But why did you start me in?
Because there's no point in starting the other mode and switching 3 seconds into the stream.
Of course there is. God damn. Okay. Awesome.
Sweet.
Because the point is for the YouTube thumbnail. Yeah. How else are you gonna thumbnail it?
Should hire someone.
To thumbnail? Yeah. This is like the thumbnail officer. All right. All right. Awesome. So we are now on the other end of intercepting communications. Congratulations. You made it. Well, 88.7% of you made it. This is actually the highest pass rate so far. No, not the highest. Yeah, okay. Other than the first modules, the highest pass rate. The highest pass rate of kind of a real security module, not a backup module. Or not backup, catch up or whatever, refresher module. All right, let's dig in a little bit. First of all, 71 people are still not attempting any of the challenges. That's not great. It's like functionally dropped people, I guess. We'll probably again reach out to actually administratively drop you. Just as a heads up, please let us know if there's been something preventing you from doing any of the challenges, and double check that in the course setup there are 5 green check marks. I'll go through that in a sec because someone reached out yesterday and said, when are things due? So we're gonna really quickly see when things are due. But on the other hand, when I went through, what did I go through? I went on a big rant about something 2 class ago.
Better cap.
Better cap is great, but I was talking about like the dangers of using the LLM to think, right? And someone said, Jan, the people that need this message the most probably aren't showing up to your lecture. So anyways, all right. It's just the reality of modern education. Actually, it's the reality of any education. I think I showed up to probably 10% of my lectures in undergrad. Anyways, except for the security type course. Showed up to every single lecture, even if I had to fall asleep in the front row because it was in the morning. All right. Sorry, I am not running on a lot of sleep, so this is going to be an extra yawn sort of lecture. And then if I pass out, Connor will smoothly take over. Okay. Oh, we're getting mailed an Ettercap shirt and coffee mug.
Nice.
See? This is great. All right, what other things can we sell out for? Okay. We wanted to dig into the numbers of intercepting communication. 51 people started early, but with the exception of level 14, people actually did quite well. So I mean, we're not really expecting everyone to complete every level of every module, right? If our median student gets a 92% for the assignment, that's great. Things get really complicated later on. It would be awesome if everyone, of course, had the experience of hijacking connections, but you'll get it next time, and you can, of course, continue to go back and solve it for half credit. And we would encourage you, if you have copious amounts of downtime this module, to go back and look at things you missed, because they will come back in the putting it together module. Not these specific challenges, but it could be that challenges relying on these capabilities come back. Okay. Anything else you want to say about how intercepting communication went?
It was easy for people. Was this easier
Easy.
than web security? Okay, that makes sense. I mean, the stats say it was. So
Was it as fun as web security? It's better. Okay, awesome.
students just like their grades.
Well, that too. But I think there's something really, really cool about doing this mastery of the network. It's hard for us. I mentioned this when we launched the module because of the environment we're operating in and constraints on security and scalability that we have to consider. It's actually very hard for us to do these network challenges in a sane way, which prevents us from exploring some additional concepts we want to do. Maybe they'll make an appearance in putting it together or in future semesters. But I think there's room for maybe a good 30 challenges here as well. Would people have liked to see 30 challenges in this module?
No, they're gonna be really sad on crypto.
Well, yeah, crypto goes back past that. All right, let's talk about thanks. Somehow, Honto has continued their epic run. I should have put the unfortunately pushing to get crypto ready. There was no time for me review. Should have put in the Honto powering up meme. 31 challenges in crypto means 31 good opportunities to help people and get extra credit for all of you out there. Please make sure to upvote people that are thanking you. Honto, I think, has agreed to donate their extra credit since they're not an ASU student to everybody else, but divided among 1,000 people, that's not that much. So keep upvoting those who are helping. And the big kind of surprise in the top 5 is that we have Iron and Biting the Bits joining us, pushing out the Worm Superior and Noodles. Pretty epic competition. Let's also look at the top 5 for the actual completed module. We've been forgetting to do that. "13 hacking." Last night it was like hundreds. All right. Oops. Would you mind launching the crypto in the class?
With what laptop?
With my laptop.
You can also launch it after class and go through the.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It doesn't matter. All right. So let's see who's got now we're part way into the class. Basically, the top performers or the fastest solvers in 365 for the why is Knob Knob Goose here? How is Knob Knob Goose here?
Probably showed up and started doing it.
He just decided to. All right, awesome. Knob Knob Goose is an old timer back for round 2. The top people, let's see, we got C Prakash, K Seat, Knob Goose, V Harishetty, and who knows. Good job. We'll if you're here, come up. Do you still have coins? All right. Well, come up eventually. Wednesday. Yeah, come up on Wednesday, and we'll give you coins. You stole my camera somehow.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just nowhere. No one has it.
No one has it.
Maybe these cameras used to work better.
Yeah, it's okay. Awesome. All right. So with that, we say goodbye to intercepting communications until the final module of the class. Or maybe you'll see some concepts coming back if we get things enhanced. And we move on to cryptography. All right. Who here has watched all the cryptography lessons? God damn it. All right. As a reminder, I know this is actually a tall order, but, well, I guess we also didn't launch it, so that's on us. The next module coming up is cryptography. right here. Please, we'll launch this right after class into the class dojo. Please go watch the lectures. The lectures cover what cryptography is, an introduction into symmetric and asymmetric encryption, and basically everything you need to know to tackle the challenges. I think these challenges, there are 30 challenges, 31 challenges for crypto. These are unique in a slightly different way than interception communications was, than web security was. A lot of security relies on different knowledge of the technology that you're evaluating the security of, right? So in web security, you have to understand JavaScript, you have to understand HTML, you have to understand HTTP, you have to understand a lot of Python, probably for some of you. In network interception communications and network security, you have to understand networking, right? And a lot of you had to learn networking. The equivalent for cryptography is going to be math. So who here knows math? All right, we got 4 people that know math. Who knows addition? All right, about 2/3 of the class. How about multiplication? Actually, more than addition. That's great. Exponentiation. All right, we got maybe half the class. What about modular arithmetic? Okay, a little bit. So again, these lectures cover crypto itself. In this lecture, I want to cover some of the underlying mathematical concepts to reason about some of the crypto that you will see here. Let's dig in. We'll just launch a random, oh my God, not intercept communications. I was just there. Launch a, I'll just fast forward a little bit. Launch something much later. Just the AES module. Okay, for this one, because a lot of this is new, in addition to videos, we also have some pretty thorough descriptions for about 2/3 of the module, right? We have big descriptions for AES, Diffie-Hellman, and RSA. A lot of good stuff. Read, watch the lectures, read the descriptions, please. We're trying to learn from the pains of previous modules. But for now, let's get rolling. Oops, probably didn't want me to clear that, but all right. Okay. So I wanted to talk about math. And the first thing that I will say about math is that we are kind of putting you on the spot to use a lot of the math that you may have learned in discrete math. So who here has taken discrete math? I'm pretty sure it should be everybody. Okay. And depending on what actually was taught, do they cover fields?
I think so.
Yeah. To remember that and put it into practice. All right. Now I understand that it since more than a week has passed since then, things might be. How do I full screen this? Oh, that's not good. Things might be hard. That might be hard to do. That didn't help at all.
What's your goal?
Just getting rid of this guy.
You can't.
Really?
I need to set it. It's gonna take.
All right. All right.
But you
Cool.
can zoom in.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're going to talk about the math of crypto, assuming that you vaguely remember a lot of discrete math, but not perfectly. All right. Crypto systems rely on either math or dirty hacks that happen to work, right? In the ancient times of, I don't know, before the 1960s, let's say, crypto systems were kind of like, hey, what if we start swapping random letters with random other letters, and then the resulting text looks like crap and no one can read it? And it turns out that this might work against, your middle school teacher that catches you passing notes with your friends, but it doesn't work against a determined adversary that can collect a bunch of cryptographic messages and analyze them for patterns, right? So if you replace the letter T with A, the letter H with F, and the letter E with Z, and you encrypt the entire, I don't know, what's a hip book? No one reads books anymore. I'm the reader. If you take a cool sci-fi like Fire Upon the Deep, who here has read Fire Upon the Deep? All right. New assignment, everyone should go read Fire Upon the Deep. Really cool sci-fi by Werner Vinge, who's actually a computer science teacher. So imagine if I wrote a sci-fi. Well, that would be probably pretty terrible, but this guy's an actually good writer. If you go and take that book and you encrypt it and you replace the with AFZ, and you replace all the other letters with, similar sort of mutations, and you take that book and you see a 3-letter AFZ word that occurs all the time, well, that's likely going to be the, right? It's the most common 3-letter word in the English language. And now you know the mappings for T, H, and E. Likewise, if you see a 4-letter word occurring all the time, well, you might get ideas on what that might be. But that was the old crypto. The new crypto is all about math. All right. So somewhere after the 60s, we've started mathing harder and harder and harder in cryptography. And we have basically invented maybe 3 or 4 main families of crypto systems that all of society relies on. And by all society, I mean, in a very real way, our society runs on the security of cryptographic algorithms. Consider one of the things we'll cover in this module is SHA, the secure hashing algorithm, right? SHA-256 is fully and directly and solely responsible for the security of Bitcoin. If SHA-256 turns out to be broken, Bitcoin is even more imaginary than it is right now. Basically, the entire Merkle tree concept and everything underpinning that breaks down if there is a break or collision found in SHA-256. Right? And we're talking about a huge sector of the economy by certain measures that basically just relies on the security of this one function, right? And so this is really serious stuff in an extremely complex way, and in an even more complex way than the previous 2 modules. In intercepting communications, you realize that, hey, networking is broken, right? There's no security built in. You can violate a bunch of security content. You can intercept these communications. You can hijack them. You can change things. Well, guess what? The world kind of gave up on network security a long time ago. We assume that what you're doing on the network is interceptable, modifiable, and sniffable. And we make do with that using cryptography. The reason we moved away from HTTP, port 80 being the default way to interact with everything, back in my day, we sent our Facebook password over port 80 to authenticate to Facebook when we connected up. I guess people don't really send anything to Facebook anymore. But anyways, at some point, the entire web switched over to HTTPS, where we are now exchanging encrypted data, generally encrypted by something like AES, using authentication and et cetera provided by TLS, all of which you'll attack. And this is what enables the security of modern communications over the web. If you find, so intercepting communication kind of has security issues, the world has accepted them, move to crypto to protect networks, right? Web security, well, these were flaws that you're exploring in individual applications, right? If Facebook or MySpace back in the day, and I bring this up because it was one of the first kind of examples of a runaway cross-site scripting vulnerability that had huge impact. These things have flaws. Well, they fix the flaw and they move on. These are individual applications that can fix bugs. If there's a flaw in AES, or like I said, SHA-256, you can't just fix SHA-256. SHA-256 is an algorithm that has a million different implementations by a bunch of different people. Some of the implementations are very stateful in that even if you fixed SHA-256 to fix against a hash collision that could sink all of Bitcoin, well, you still have the entire my mind just went blank. The entire
Corpus data set, everything you've already
blockchain, the entire Bitcoin blockchain that uses the potentially old vulnerable SHA-256 all throughout unto the beginning of blockchain, right? You can't just push a patch and change that algorithmically. And so in some sense, what we're exploring here with crypto is much, 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 much more fundamental and potentially ruinous if you find bugs in the underlying algorithms. And what is even more terrifying is we have very few security proofs about these algorithms. We have proofs where you assume that AES itself, the core algorithm of AES, is cryptographically secure from an information theoretical perspective, where without having the encryption key, you can't decrypt an encrypted message. We have to assume that. And building on that assumption, we can prove the security of other crypto systems. But no one has created an actual information theoretical proof of the security of AES. The one thing that we have proven the security of is a one-time pad. But as you will find out in the course of this module, the one-time pad is not a real viable crypto system in the real world. So it's kind of scary. In this module, you're exploring castles built on this foundation of sand, right? And even in the module here, you'll implement several very real-world attacks against these systems that are actually very hard to defend against and prevent, that are still kind of attacks against implementations of crypto, not necessarily the crypto algorithms themselves. But you can imagine the kind of brutal effects that an attack against the crypto algorithm itself would have. Okay, let's catch up on Twitch real quick. Uh-oh, we're skipping. Stream is we might have bandwidth problems today. Wow, Fire Upon the Deep is free on Kindle Unlimited, and there's an audiobook free on YouTube. Super, super awesome sci-fi, for real. We should have sci-fi reviews. I don't know. Well, we probably waste enough time as it is. All right, awesome. Okay, so crypto algorithms. The top algorithms that we'll cover in this module that are used, again, all over the real world is AES, Diffie-Hellman, RSA, SHA-1, and then its use and implementation in TLS, right? And we'll, again, for the most part, cover them from the same perspective as the people that prove these things cover them from. Say, okay, let's assume AES is secure. We're not going to actually dig into what makes AES tick in this class. And then we go and implement a bunch of crypto systems with AES and see how the implementation flaws cause these systems to be broken. All right. How are they actually implemented? I'm going to very briefly talk about this at a high level for AES. AES is basically a bunch of cursed matrix math that results in taking a key and a block of data, key being some 16-byte chunk, the block of data being a 16-byte chunk, or at least the key being 16 bytes in the AES we're using, and then doing a bunch of permutations, blah, 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 on the block of data to come up with an encrypted block of data, right? And again, kind of goes deeper into this in the lectures, but at a high level, AES takes a key and a plain text and produces a ciphertext, right? And without having the key, you can't go back from the ciphertext to the plain text. If you flip one bit in a plain text, if you encrypt Jan with a capital Y and Jan with a lowercase y, the ciphertext will be completely indistinguishable from each other. It's a property called ciphertext indistinguishability. So if I have a server on the internet where you can encrypt stuff at will, chosen stuff, and I give you the encrypted version, it doesn't get you any closer to either having the key or being able to decrypt other encrypted data without brute forcing it fully. And of course, with 16 bytes, you're not going to brute force 2 to the 128 characters in the block to recover that encrypted value without other implementation errors that you'll explore in this module. All right. So AES takes a key, and that key is used for encrypting. Same key is used for decrypting. If I want to exchange data with you over AES, after class, we need to agree on a 16 byte key. I write it down on a piece of paper, write down on a piece of paper myself. I give you one of these papers, I have the other one, and we can encrypt and decrypt symmetrically. Right? We have the same amount of power having that key. We can both decrypt, we can both encrypt. Diffie-Hellman is a way to agree on an AES key without you having to come to class, because people don't like doing that. We're down to maybe, I don't know, 40 people in class out of, and I don't know how many on stream, 63 viewers on stream. So like most of the class watches this, of course, diligently after it's posted on YouTube. And so that makes it hard to come up and actually exchange keys. Diffie-Hellman allows you to exchange keys over a network safely, even if your network is being monitored. And as you saw in network communications, you should just assume that your network is being monitored, right? Who here thinks their home network is not monitored? Nobody. All right, so people are thoroughly terrified. But you should assume that, you know, the data you send on a network, maybe not your home network, although if you're running enough, you know, smart devices, maybe that too. But you should assume that data on a network is, as you send it over the wire, is probably being listened to by somebody. It's a good assumption to have. I actually, my advisor for grad school, I don't know if he still does this, but he used to. There's a really cool tool called dsniff. We can spend another 50 minutes of me failing to use it if you're interested. But dsniff monitors the network and just looks for interesting things. Like, hey, here's a username and password that just came across, or here's an image that came across. I'll save it. My advisor used to always run dsniff on himself at all times so that if there was some credentials leaked in the clear, he would notice it on himself, not against other people, in his own traffic, because it's better to know right away so you can change passwords. All right. Anyways, should assume that network traffic is being monitored. Diffie-Hellman allows you to, even under that assumption, perform a really cool cryptographic algorithm to come up with a shared random number that you can then use as an AES key. Super cool. And you'll implement that from scratch and learn very deeply about it in the lecture. All right. That AES plus Diffie-Hellman will allow you already to build a real crypto system. Basically, you could have a web application that someone, or whatever, an internet application, online app that someone connects to, uses Diffie-Hellman to generate a key with, to exchange a key, and then encrypts traffic over AES. If you implement it yourself, the likely scenario is you'll make some mistake somewhere, and the crypto will be broken. That's kind of one of the lessons I want you to take away, is like leaking one bit of data, for example, in these padding oracle attacks levels, basically means that the crypto system can be completely broken. It turns out that leaking just one bit of information, kind of analogous to when you were doing the blind SQL attacks in SQL 4, 5, SQL I5. That one bit of data compromises the entire integrity of the system and actually allows an attacker to decrypt and encrypt data arbitrarily without having the key at all. Pretty crazy. So it's very easy to mess up crypto in a way that it is completely broken. It's actually very hard to mess up crypto in a way that is completely broken, but only just in the way that you need students to solve it. But that's a separate thing, and we can maybe have a class about building pwn college modules when we want to talk about it. But one of the takeaways that I hope you get from this is it's better to leave the crypto implementation itself to people that know what they're doing and then use it, right? In this course, this is an introduction to cybersecurity course. You're not going to come out the other end knowing how to build an infallible crypto system. You'll be able to test the crypto system for some weaknesses, but generally speaking, rolling your own crypto is a bad idea. All right. So that's Diffie-Hellman plus AES. After that, we'll move into RSA. RSA is a asymmetric crypto system where with AES, we agree on a shared secret, and you can use it to encrypt and decrypt. It's symmetric, the same key. With RSA, I have kind of two keys. I have my public key that I hand to you all, and you can use it to encrypt data that only I can decrypt. And I have my private key that allows me to encrypt data, to decrypt data you encrypt, and to encrypt data that you all can decrypt with my public key. Asymmetric, right? For the public key, it's many to one encryption. With a private key, it's one to many encryption. And there are use cases for one to many encryption. It sounds kind of silly. Why don't I just give you the message in plain text without encrypting it? But if I encrypt my message and give it to you, then, and I do it properly, which, we don't do it properly in these levels and you can break things. But if I do it properly, you can be fairly sure that I made the message. So if I post send out a mass email saying, hey, good news, the deadline's extended, and I sign it cryptographically by encrypting it in a way that only I can encrypt, but you all can still decrypt, you know that I am telling you that the deadline's extended, and then not that it's some mischievous student that just wants the server load to go down, right? Okay. That's RSA. And then building up off of that, we start covering a couple of other things. Questions on this before we dig into the math? All right, let's Twitch. Cool. All right, digging into the math. Talked briefly about AES. It's a bunch of cursed matrix stuff. I won't actually dig into the math of AES because this is probably math that you haven't seen. We don't teach it, and yeah, but we'll talk about the math. And in fact, these challenges don't require you to dig into the math of AES. One thing that if you're really interested in crypto, there's a platform, Crypto Hack, that does go into the math more of AES. There's a link from the description. If you're really interested, you have some spare time, highly recommend digging into that. This is more AES applications. The RSA levels dig into the math a little bit more. And so I want to cover the math of RSA and maybe the math of Diffie-Hellman, both of which are based on a similar-ish concept of finite fields. Okay, let's dig into IPython. Let's, is this zoomed in enough? Yeah, it's probably good. All right. So we have, I highly recommend getting very familiar with IPython for this module. So previous modules, you got familiar with Python itself. You've gotten, who here has gotten familiar with pwn tools through the course of the class yet? No, that's another tool that I really recommend for, especially with some of these challenges where you have to interact with them a lot, but you'll figure it out. Okay, modular arithmetic in a finite field. Both Diffie-Hellman and RSA operate in a world where numbers don't just keep going up, right? So what's the highest number you can think of in real life? What's the highest number you can think of, Connor?
Trillion.
A trillion, right? But then I can say, aha, well, Connor, I can think of a higher number. It's 1,000,000,001. Can you beat it?
1,000,002,000,000.
Yeah, Connor said 1,000,002,000,000. That's pretty good, but I can go higher, 1,000,003,000,000, right? But in Diffie-Hellman and RSA, people said, whoa, 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 that's absurd. These, elementary grade school playground tactics, no good. We're going to say the biggest number is, and this is an example, the biggest number is, I don't know, 31. Is that prime? It feels prime. Feels primey. All right. You typically want this in Diffie-Hellman. You want one prime to say this is the biggest number, right? So you say, okay, our biggest number is 31. Boom. I say 31, I win. In fact, I can't even say 31 because it's kind of like saying, the biggest number, what you're really saying is there are 31 numbers from 0 to 30. Not by saying p equals 31, but by saying we are operating in a finite field defined by under the modulo 31, right? So from 0 to 30 are numbers. So all our math is modular. What does modular mean, or under modulo mean? It means that anything we do, if we go over 30, we're just wrapped back around like in an old video game or something, right? So I say 1 is our number, modulo p, no problem, 1. Okay, Connor, what's the largest number you can think of?
47.
47. That's too big. So let's start with like 15. Connor says 15. Okay, no problem. I say, well, hey, Connor, I can think of a way larger number. I'm going to say, I don't know, 27. Okay, Connor, what's the largest number you can think of?
Oh, like 29.
Yeah, 29. Connor thought that's pretty good. I'm going to say, okay, well, hey, 30 is a big number. All right, 30 is the largest number. Your turn.
31.
31. So Connor's trying to win. 31. No. 31 doesn't exist. 31 is off limits. There is no 31. It's like saying, what's the biggest digit you can think of? Well, 10's not a digit, right? You go to 9, you add 1, you're just looking at that last digit. Guess what? You're back at 0, right? But the really cool thing is we can still do math, right? I guess it could be a terrifying thing depending on your viewpoint, but I can still say, okay, hey, what's 17 plus 52? I can still get an answer, right? It's 7. And the really cool thing is I can loop back around. So if I say, hey, what is 7 minus 52? And what happened? Okay. It's 17. So plus and minus, the relationship still holds. Why did this thing stop tracking me? I like the camera to follow me around. Okay, there we go.
Now, what happens if you do 17 plus 52? Take that result and then mod p.
All right, that's a great idea. So what if I do 17 plus 52? Okay, without the mod world, we're at 69. And then we do 69 and mod p. We're back at 7. And so the modulo can kind of be applied at any point. Within reason, we'll talk about it in a second. But at any point, we can just say, hey, let's teleport into our modulo world. Doing the opposite is hard, right? So if I say, I don't know, what is, oh, actually, that's not, if I say 17 times 17 times 17 times 17 modulo p, I get 7. But there are probably something else, a couple more times 17s. Eventually, I'm bound to get 7 again. Okay, well, this is a silly thing. It was just minus 20 is 7. Boom. Okay. How do you tell the difference, having just the output of this, of 7, between this case and this case? Oh, you can't. You are truly restricted to 31 unique numbers, 0 to 30. The knowledge of what came before them is kind of lost, but it's okay. This crypto system still works as long as you only want, or the finite field is still useful, as long as you only want to reason about 30 things. I mean, how many numbers can you really keep track of anyways, right? So that's cool stuff. We can do mathematical operations under a modulo, and now we can come up with some sort of a simple crypto system. Let's say our modulo was not a prime. We'll talk about primes in a second. Our modulo was 26, and I gave you me and you agreed on a key, let's say 13, right? And when we encrypted things, we basically, if we wanted to encrypt text, so let's say, of course, we can only reason about 26 different numbers from 0 to 25. We say every number is going to correspond to a letter of the English alphabet. So it's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, R, S, T, U, V, X, Y, and Z. Now we know our ABCs. Let's just make sure I didn't typo it. Oops. There's some network latency. Okay. And we're going to say to encrypt a letter, letter C, we're going to return alphabet. We get the index of the letter C in the alphabet, and we add the key. This encrypts the letter C with the key. Okay, so now I can add letter A and the key of, let's say 13 or whatever. Boom, cool. Then dec letter, the opposite. Okay, and actually I forgot a very important thing, because if I ink letter Z here, it's going to give me an index error. What I wanted to demonstrate is the whole point of the modulo, because it just allows us to easily loop around. Okay. And I guess we should take the modulo as well. Okay. And then if we get enough response, what's going on here? Okay. For dec letter, we do the same thing. I still got everyone following along. Okay. Now we can ink letter Z with K and P. Okay. Here goes our M. Z translates to M, and then we can decrypt it with the same key. Whatever, I forgot to pass P, and we get Z back. Awesome. So using the power of modular arithmetic, we managed to implement the crypto system that I talked about earlier, where the just gets translated into 3 other letters, but you can still trivially break it by actually reading the, looking at what the most common 3-letter word is and so forth, right? But the cool thing is we can do other stuff, right? But in the case of Diffie-Hellman, we can get our prime back. Okay. And I can come up with a secret number. And I don't know, what's a nice number? 15 will be my secret. No one knows this number. And what I can do is compute an exponential of this number to a large power. Sorry, compute an exponential of, let's say, the number 2 to my number. Okay, it's a big number. Kind of big, right? I modulo it with P, and I get 1 back. That's probably not good. That's not great. That's going to break the crypto system.
Try 3.
Yeah. We're not going to do 1. We're going to do 3. Or we're not going to do 15. We'll do 3. Okay. That's going to be 8, of course. Let's make slightly bigger numbers to drive a point across. We have 71. That feels prime, right? P is 71. My favorite number is going to be 25. And we're going to do 2 to the 25, which is a big number, bigger, modulo P. So I have a secret. I raise 2 to that power. And then I have a number of 45, which is my, I don't know, public number. Okay, that's cool. So now I have number 45, a number 25 that's only I know, and a 45 that everyone else knows. But if I just say, hey, my public number is 45, you don't have, before we did this thing where you have all of these ways to, several different ways to get number 7. Well, it's the same thing. You don't know what my original number was, that I raised 2 to that power to get 45. Of course, if there's only 71 options, you can brute force it. But realistically, if we're talking, when we do this in practice, we have numbers that are massively large outside of the realm of brute forcing. All right. Then we move on to Connor. We're going to do a Diffie-Hellman key exchange under this. So Connor, what's your favorite number? 4. Okay. So Connor's secret is 4. And Connor public number is 2 to the 4 modulo P. Okay. And that is 16. Okay. So now me and Connor exchange these public numbers. Right? So Connor knows his secret, which is 4, and my public, which is 45. And I know my secret, which is 25, and his public, which is 16. And now let me show you a magic trick. I take my Connor's public number, which I know, and I raise it to the exponent of my secret number, which only I know, modulo P. I get the number 20. And Connor takes my public number and raises it to his secret number, modulo P, and he gets 20. And an attacker that just knows our 2 public numbers, of course, gets some other shit. So Connor and I just came up with the same secret number without exchanging. We came up with a shared secret without exchanging our personal secrets. Pretty badass. And it turns out that more or less because of this property that we can't, map this back in a normal world where we weren't operating under this modulo, you could just take this number and take the base 2 logarithm of it. So if you import math, you'll need to do some import math in this module, and we do 225. We trivially get 25 back. But if we do mod P, you get some random stuff, right? Because we're logarithms in a module in a finite field defined by a modulus act extremely differently than logarithms in normal integer space or real space. And in fact, as embarrassing as it is, the human race does not have a good, efficient algorithm that doesn't rely on quantum computing to compute these discrete logarithms under a modulo. So an attacker can't recover my private number from my secret number, can't recover Connor's private number from his secret number. But now, so this is secured, this 20, but why the hell does it work? This is kind of crazy, right? Well, it works because Connor's public number is 2 to Connor's private pirate number, Connor secret. Yeah. And then I raise that further to my secret. Right? Okay. There's 20. What is going on?
You're doing a big exponentiation.
Oh shit, you're right. My bad.
It's a big number.
Okay, this is going to be a massive number, and so Python is working on it now. Turns out that we actually have a very, very efficient way to compute modular exponentiation. So we can't do modular logarithms, but we can do, or discrete logarithms, but we can do discrete exponentiation using the pow built in. We put the base, the exponent, and the exponent is also a pow in itself. And, well, that's going to get into a lot of complexity. Let's just do this for now and hope for the best. And the modulo, and boom, it's wrong. Oh, I don't want to get into the p minus 1. We're going to have to get into Euler's.
No.
Huh?
Just do the.
Sorry. Yeah, of course. Okay, who here remembers from middle school that a to the b power to the c power reduces to a to the b times c power? Do you remember this? Okay, we got one. Anyone else remember it? All right, a couple of you remember. Sweet. So if you're just going to go do that directly. Where did my pals go? Oh, here it is. Right. Okay. Boom. Correct. Okay. So Connor's public number to my private number reduces to 2 to the Connor's secret times my secret mod p. And then my my public number to Connor's secret number reduces to 2 to the my secret times Connor's secret. Boom. Of course, A times B equals B times A, also from middle school. Awesome. So this is why under modulo, we can compute a shared secret without being worried that our conversations out in the open will disclose too much information, right? Now, of course, all this depends on P being larger than like 2 digits, quite large. But we can do it, right? So in the homework, for example, the P we're using is 2048 bits, which is 256 bytes long. It's a very large number. You're not going to be able to just iterate through and guess our secrets, unlike this crypto system.
Want to show us how big a number like that is?
Yeah.
Just so we can really feel it.
Let's see. Just have to find, well, okay, here. Here is, let's grab a random number, not a random prime, that's fine. From 0 to 2 to the 248. This is the number you're dealing with, right? An example of the number you're dealing with. You're just not going to be able to go and try every single one before the universe ceases to exist. All right. And you know, to give you an idea, there's optimizations you can do to, you know, compute these discrete logarithms faster than just brute force. But realistically, they might get you a little bit below having to brute force 2 to the 2048 entries, but not significantly below that. If I remember correctly, the biggest number that didn't have like special I'm trying to remember. There's a Wikipedia article with records for discrete logarithms.
768 or something?
Yeah, 700 something by 761, I think. Like you can actually, yeah, here, discrete logarithm records. Current record as of 2022 is a 1051-bit finite field. Pretty cool, huh?
People compete in this.
Yeah. So this is like a sport. You can be the I don't know, the Connor Nelson of discrete logarithms. Okay, so that's Diffie-Hellman. Very neat. But one interesting thing that I kind of got worried about initially is when we do times, so just as a reminder, here's where we're at. Jan's secret times Connor's secret modulo P, 20. All right. Jan's secret times Connor's secret itself is 100. What the fuck? That's more than P, right? So obviously any numbers that are more than P get shifted around, and that's what happens up here. And so we say, okay, that's okay. Let's say we have Jan's secret times Connor's secret. Since we're operating under a modulo, we should be able to do this here, right? 100 modulo 71 is going to be 29 or something. And that's fine because it's under the modulo. And we hit enter and we get something unexpected. It doesn't line up. It should line up. Does everyone agree it should line up at first glance? We're operating under the modulo. We had previously shown that you can operate outside the module a little bit, or you can module at any point, and that's all good, right? And it turns out that that is slightly more naive than reality. In reality, and this is just a weird way that math is, modular operations are all fine and good until you slide into the exponent, right? Modular operations in an exponent work a little differently. And honestly, to understand why this is, you really have to be Euler, who is a mathematician that is that's definitely long dead from like the 1700s. But Euler explored this concept that, hey, for some weird reason in a finite field, operations in a finite field in the exponent under P actually takes place in a finite field of under the modulo of P minus 1. And we're back. Crazy. All right. So this seems like, okay, it's a minor annoyance or whatever, not annoyance, just a minor detail you have to keep track of. But this is actually the mathematical foundation of the RSA algorithm. And also, actually, it's a good demonstration that P is prime. Because if P wasn't prime, let's have something called N, which is a product of two primes, a P and a Q, and I never defined Q. Q will be 17. All right. So we have two primes. And now we have a new finite field. Friendship ended with P. N is my new best friend. And now we're going to have an operation under N. Are we still? And now we need bigger secrets, right? So we're going to say from 0 to N will be my secret. So we don't get to choose anymore. Connor's secret will be, okay. So my secret, I'll tell you, because I trust you all. Connor's secret, I'll disclose for him because he didn't stop me. All right. Bigger secrets. N is pretty big. Obviously, Jan's secret times Connor's secret is going to be bigger than expected. Now, let's say we're doing Diffie-Hellman-ish stuff. And in the end, we do kind of Jan's secret times Connor's secret. P 54 will be our shared secret value, right? After we do all our little memeing, like I raise mine to the 2 to my power, he raises 2 to his power, and we exchange, and then it reduces to this, right? Okay, let's double check over here where we have modulo n, and then here we do modulo n minus 1, and we hit enter, and it's wrong again. Why? Well, Euler kind of fucked us here. No, Euler saves us, but our understanding is not fully correct. It's not that operations in the modulo just happen with n minus 1. It's that they happen under a modulo defined by something crazy called Euler's totient function, which basically says you take n, you compute the factors of n, you subtract 1 from every factor, and you multiply that back. And that is what operations in the exponent operate under. And again, this is a crazy math thing. But if we know the factors of n, it's p and q, we take them, we subtract 1 from each one, modulo n, we hit enter, and we messed something up. What the? Oh, I didn't put a times. And it still doesn't match up. What?
What's P and what's Q?
Is Jan's secret and Connor's secret correct? (17) and 71 are both prime.
Is 2 a generator?
I mean, let's try 7. Okay, so we have this guy. And we have this guy. How is this still 54? Oh! Sorry, I did P here. And 764 and going back to 2, 764. All right. So we can, RSA basically goes from 1 prime to 2 primes. And using this knowledge does something very interesting. Diffie-Hellman, in a modulus under a prime, anyone can do operations in the exponent. And that's how Diffie-Hellman works. It assumes that when I give my number to Connor, my public one, he gives his to me, we can both do exponentiation, and we can do that anyways. I guess there's not really, I guess it's an implicit assumption, basically. Anyways. But if it was any more complex, and I needed to do something weirder in the modulos, and I needed that to be secret, that's where RSA excels. RSA allows us, in a modular way, and now I'm trying to think of how to implement this. Do we have GMPY installed?
I don't know. This does demo have internet? Am I going to install it?
Demo does not have internet. All right. Well, we won't be able to demonstrate it now, but we'll demonstrate this by Wednesday. Oh, God, I don't want to figure that out live in 5 minutes. This ability for only the person that knows P and Q to do operations in the modulas in the exponent is what makes RSA tick. RSA has an encryption that raises to the power of E and a decryption that raises to the power of 1 divided by E. If you raise to the power of E, and then you raise that to the power of 1 divided by E, this cancels out, and you get your message back. But that 1 divided by E can only occur, can only be done by someone that knows P and Q, which is super cool. All right, that's a very quick crash course into RSA. We'll talk more about RSA on Wednesday. But it's a flow from all the way from your, maybe, let's say, playground math to at least through Diffie-Hellman. Okay, let's talk specifics, class specifics, and then you and I'll go. there's 31 challenges. This means that the checkpoint is like 9.2 something. 9 challenges for the checkpoint puts you at these first 4, just like working with different data. So now we're talking about hexadecimal, base 64, etc. Everything that, or the first 5, everything that you'll need to like actually exchange data with this stuff. Then 2 more about this one-time pad meme that we you should understand because XOR is important. That gets us to 7, right? And then you get into just your very first baby's first crypto attack. My suggestion to you, my very very strong suggestion is to try to push here for the checkpoint. If you can push here during your first week, you're in a really good spot to implement one more attack and then dig into a lot of cool stuff in the second half. But if you get here, you get credit for the checkpoint or wherever the checkpoint actually is. Last time I counted, it was here, but either way. Cool? Questions? Comments? My tablet shut off. Oh, here we go. All right. Wait, we just. Anyways, cool. All right. See you Wednesday. Don't delay. Do the challenges today. Goodbye, hackers. Wait, how do we turn this off? Oh, there we go.